You don't build self-respect by thinking about it. You build it by doing the things you said you would do, especially when it's hard, especially when nobody is watching. Self-respect is not a feeling. It is the byproduct of discipline, repetition, and identity. And if you don't respect yourself, nothing else in your life will work. Not your goals, not your relationships, not your future. This audiobook is your blueprint to rebuild the most important relationship you will ever have. The one with yourself. Small choices, small wins, daily discipline. This is how you rise. This is how you become someone you trust. Chapter 1. Stop breaking promises to yourself. If you want to rebuild your self-respect, this is where it begins. Not with motivation. Not with confidence. Not with believing in yourself. It begins with one simple rule. Stop breaking promises to yourself. Every time you say you're going to do something and you don't follow through, you send a quiet but powerful message to your mind. My word means nothing. And the moment your own brain stops believing you, self-respect collapses. Because self-respect is built on trust. Trust in yourself. Trust that when you speak, your actions will follow. You have a choice. You can continue living in the cycle of "I'll start tomorrow," or you can break that cycle right now. That's the key. Think about this pattern for a moment because you know it well. You say you're going to wake up early. You don't. You say you're going to eat clean today. You don't. You say you'll go to the gym this week, next Monday, after things calm down. But you don't. And you've repeated this so many times that your brain now expects you to fail. It doesn't get excited when you plan. It doesn't believe you when you promise. You've trained your mind to doubt your own word. If you don't take your own word seriously, why should anyone else? Let that sink in. Because this chapter is not about guilt. It's about awareness. You can't fix what you refuse to acknowledge. Here's the truth many people avoid. You are not frustrated because your goals are too big. You are frustrated because your follow-through is too small. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. It's not about the size of the promise. It's about honoring it. You have a choice, and you've had the power all along. Let's talk about a real example you might see in yourself. There is a person who starts over constantly. They start the new diet every Monday. They restart the gym habit every new year. They pick up a new routine for 3 days and then drop it until the right time returns. Eventually, they stop believing in the concept of new beginnings because they've failed so many times. Not because they were incapable, but because they trained themselves to quit. They built the identity of someone who doesn't follow through. You can see this pattern in others. It's harder to see it in yourself. But if you're honest, you know exactly where you've been breaking your own word. Self-respect doesn't disappear overnight. It erodes one broken promise at a time. So how do we rebuild it? How do you become someone you trust again? You start with the micro-promise rule. This rule will change everything if you commit to it. Not because it's complicated, but because it's simple, clear, and doable. The micro-promise rule is this. Make one small promise to yourself every day, and do not break it. No matter how small it is. No matter how busy you are. No matter how you feel. One promise. One win. Every day. And the promise must be so small that breaking it would be a choice, not a circumstance. For example, drink 1 glass of water the moment you wake up. Read 1 page of a book each night. Do 5 push-ups before you shower. Journal for 2 minutes before bed. Tiny, simple, clear, and non-negotiable. Because this is not about the action. It's about what the action represents. You are training yourself to honor your word. You are rebuilding a broken contract with yourself. You have a choice. Make it impossible to fail. That's the key. Here's what will start to happen after a few days. You'll feel a small spark of pride. A quiet voice inside will say, "We did what we said we would do." After a week, that spark becomes a flame. After a month, that flame becomes identity. Because self-respect is built through evidence. Not dreams. Not talk. Not someday. Evidence. Daily proof that you keep your word. Now, understand this clearly. When you begin using the micro-promise rule, your mind will try to negotiate. It will say, "It's not a big deal if I skip today. I'll make up for it tomorrow." This one time won't matter. But it does matter. Because the promise isn't about the push-ups. The promise isn't about the page of reading. The promise isn't about the glass of water. The promise is about your identity, your integrity, your self-respect. Breaking a tiny promise sends the same message to your mind as breaking a big one. My word doesn't count. You have a choice. Choose the version of yourself that refuses to negotiate your standards. Your goal is not to prove to others that you can change. You don't need their permission. Your goal is to prove it to yourself. Once your mind sees proof, your life begins to transform. Your confidence rises. Your standards rise. Your discipline strengthens. And suddenly the promises grow. The habits grow. The identity grows. But it starts small. Because you must rebuild trust the same way trust is lost. One choice at a time. Let's repeat the core message of this chapter so your mind absorbs it. Self-respect is built by keeping promises to yourself. Self-respect is lost by breaking them. If you don't take your own words seriously, no one else will. Start with one promise. A micro-promise. Keep it every day. No excuses. No negotiations. That's the formula. That's the key. You just learned the foundation of the self-respect formula. Honor your word, especially to yourself. In the next chapter, we go even deeper. Because discipline isn't just about action, it's about identity. You kept your word today. Good. Now let's strengthen the person behind that word. Chapter 2. Identity comes before achievement. Everything you want in your life begins with identity. Not goals. Not motivation. Not talent. Identity. Because you will never rise above the level of the person you believe you are. You don't act like the person you want to be because deep down you don't believe you are that person yet. That's the real barrier. That's the key. You have a choice. You can keep forcing change from the outside in, or you can transform from the inside out. Lasting change always begins with identity. Let's make this brutally clear. You don't need more information. You don't need another plan. You don't need the perfect time. You need a new identity. Because identity drives behavior. Behavior drives results. Results reinforce identity. This is the loop most people are stuck in. They wait for results before they allow themselves to embody the identity. They think, when I'm fit, then I'll see myself as disciplined. When I have money, then I'll act like a responsible person. When I succeed, then I'll believe in myself. No, you have it backwards. You don't wait for results to adopt the identity. You adopt the identity to produce the results. Winners don't wait to feel like a winner. They behave like one first. The phrase you must remember from this chapter is this: I don't negotiate with my identity. Repeat it. Memorize it. Use it daily. Stop saying, I don't feel like it. Feelings are unreliable. Identity is not. When your identity is clear, your decisions are easy. If your identity is, I am a disciplined person, then skipping your commitments isn't even an option, because it contradicts who you are. If your identity is, I am someone who honors my word, then follow through becomes automatic, because that's just what you do. You don't need motivation when your actions are an expression of who you are. That's the shift. Let's look at how powerful identity really is. Think about someone who quit smoking. If you ask them, do you want a cigarette? There are two types of responses. One person says, no thanks, I'm trying to quit. That's the identity of a smoker who is attempting change. Another person says, no thanks, I'm not a smoker. Same situation, different identity. Guess who succeeds long-term? The one who changed identity, not just behavior. Because identity builds permanence. Behavior alone collapses under pressure. Now, let's use a real transformation example. There was a man who wanted to become a writer. For years, he said things like, I want to write a book one day. I want to become a writer. But he never wrote consistently. Because his identity was someone trying to become a writer. So writing was optional. Then one day he changed one sentence. He began saying, I am a writer. Not, I'm trying. Not, I hope to be. I am. From that day he wrote every morning before work. Not because he felt inspired. Not because motivation struck. But because a writer writes. Identity dictated his behavior. Eventually he finished his book. But the shift happened long before the success. He acted like the future version of himself before any proof existed. He didn't wait for results to believe it. He believed it first, and results followed. That's the formula you must steal. Here's a fitness example. Two people go to the gym. Person A forces themselves to go because they want to get in shape. Person B goes because they see themselves as an athlete. Who stays consistent when life gets busy? The one whose identity demands the behavior. Person A negotiates. Person B doesn't. Why? Because I don't negotiate with my identity. When your identity is strong, discipline is automatic. Now let's bring this back to you. If you want to change your life, you must upgrade the image you hold of yourself. Right now, your internal identity might sound like, I'm inconsistent. I'm easily distracted. I'm not disciplined. I always fall off. This is just who I am. No, this is who you used to be. You don't need their permission to evolve. You don't even need your past's permission. Identity is a choice, and you can choose a new one today. Here's your first identity exercise. Step 1. Write down the identity of the future version of you. Not the results, the identity. For example, I am a disciplined person. I am someone who follows through. I am a healthy person. I am a focused person. I am a leader of my own life. Step 2. Act in alignment with that identity today. Not tomorrow. Today. Step 3. When your mind tries to negotiate, repeat the phrase, I don't negotiate with my identity. Because the moment you negotiate, you weaken the identity you are building. Act like the person you want to become before the results show up. That is how the results eventually appear. Let's recap the transformation process in this chapter so it sinks in. Identity, behavior, results, not the other way around. You don't wait to feel successful to act like the future you. You act like the future you until you become them. Identity is not earned after results. Identity is the cause of results. You have a choice. Start living as the future version of yourself now. That's the key. Remember the phrase, I don't negotiate with my identity. Say it daily. Use it when excuses show up. Use it when motivation disappears. Use it when your old self tries to return. Because if your identity doesn't change, nothing else will. But when your identity shifts, everything else must follow. You just learned the second pillar of the self-respect formula. Identity comes before achievement. Act as the person you want to become. Now that we've established identity, it's time to develop the skill that keeps it alive and growing. You have the identity. Now you must strengthen the muscle that supports it. Chapter 3. Discipline is a skill, not a personality trait. Most people talk about discipline as if it's a gift, as if it's something you're born with, as if some people just have it and others don't. That is a lie. A convenient lie. A comfortable lie. Discipline is not a personality trait. Discipline is a skill. And like any skill, it can be trained, strengthened, and mastered if you're willing to do the reps. You have a choice. Keep believing discipline is a talent you lack, or finally understand that it's a muscle you build. That's the key. Let's expose the myth that keeps people stuck. When you look at someone who is consistent, someone who follows through, someone who seems naturally disciplined, you assume they were always that way. You don't see the rewiring. You don't see the early mornings they didn't want. You don't see the private battles they fought when nobody was watching. You only see the polished version, not the process. People who are disciplined are not built differently. They built themselves differently. By repetition. By practice. By daily training of the mind. You don't need motivation. You need repetition. Think of discipline like physical strength. No one is born with a strong body. Strength is developed through lifting, pushing, training, improving, repeated effort over time. Discipline works the same way. The more you practice discipline, the stronger it becomes. The less you practice, the weaker it becomes. It is a muscle. Your choices are the workouts. If you avoid hard things, you atrophy. If you choose the right hard things, you grow. You have a choice, comfort or growth. Every day you vote for one. But here is the problem. Most people try to be disciplined only on big tasks. Only on the dramatic moments. Only when a life-changing opportunity appears. They try to lift the heavy weight without training on the light ones. That's not how mastery works. You don't start with the heavy reps. You start with the light ones. You build capacity slowly. Discipline works the same way. Small, consistent reps create big long-term strength. This is where the discipline reps method comes in. The discipline reps method is the simplest and most powerful way to train discipline like a muscle. Here's how it works. Every day do 3 small discipline reps. Not 30. Not dramatic. Not overwhelming. 3. 3 small actions that require you to choose discipline over comfort. 3 daily reps that are easy to complete but impossible to ignore. For example, make your bed with precision every morning. Take a cold shower for 30 seconds. Do 10 push-ups before your first meal. Put your phone away while you work for 25 minutes. Walk for 10 minutes even when you don't feel like it. Tiny, deliberate, consistent. Why does this work? Because it trains your brain to associate discomfort with growth, not avoidance. You don't need motivation. You need repetition. The key to the discipline reps method is not the action itself. It's the identity you build through the action. Every rep is a vote for the person you want to become. Every rep says, I follow through. I do the work. I don't negotiate. And the more votes you cast, the stronger the identity becomes. People fail because they treat discipline like a rare event. They wait for the big moment to rise to the occasion. Successful people train discipline daily, so when the big moment arrives, rising to it is simply who they are. Reps build readiness. Let's look at a real-world example. Imagine 2 people want to run a marathon. Person A signs up and tries to run 10 miles on day 1. Their body hurts. Their mind breaks. They quit within a week. Person B doesn't try to be a hero. They run half a mile a day for the first week. They increase slowly, consistently, steadily. Person B trains the body and trains the discipline. Which one is still running 6 months later? The one who did the reps. The difference was not talent, not genetics, not motivation. It was repetition. You don't need motivation. You need repetition. And here's the good news. Discipline is contagious across your life. If you train discipline in one area, it bleeds into others. You start cleaning your space because you respect environment. You start managing your time because you value your minutes. You start keeping promises because you value your word. Discipline repurposes your entire identity. Why? Because each rep strengthens the belief that you are in control. The moment your brain learns, when I say I'm going to do something, I do it, your life changes. Self-respect returns. Confidence rebuilds. Identity solidifies. Now hear this clearly. Discipline won't always feel good. It's not supposed to. Just like a muscle burns when you train it, discipline burns too. That burn is what creates strength. Stop expecting discipline to be comfortable. Stop expecting discipline to be exciting. Stop expecting discipline to be fun. Discipline is not about feeling good in the moment. It's about becoming someone you're proud of in the long term. You have a choice, comfort now or pride later. Choose wisely. Let's lock in the core message of this chapter. Discipline is a skill. You can build it. You can train it. You can master it. It is not about personality. It is about repetition. Start with 3 daily discipline reps. No excuses. No negotiations. No skipping. Over time, these reps compound, and discipline becomes your default. You don't need motivation. You need repetition. Say it again. You don't need motivation. You need repetition. You just learned the 3rd pillar of the self-respect formula. Train discipline like a muscle with daily deliberate reps. Now that you understand how discipline is built, it's time for a critical truth. Discipline only matters when you choose the harder road. Get ready to confront the comfort that keeps you weak. Chapter 4. Choose the hard path on purpose. If you want a life you're proud of, you must learn to choose the hard path on purpose. Not reluctantly. Not occasionally. On purpose. Because growth does not happen on the easy road. It never has. It never will. Every time you choose comfort, you lose a piece of your potential. Every time you choose challenge, you gain a piece of your future. This chapter is simple, direct, and unavoidable. Comfort steals. Challenge builds. Remember that. Repeat it. Live by it. Let's be honest. Most people are addicted to comfort. Comfort food. Comfort entertainment. Comfort distractions. Comfort excuses. But comfort has a cost. A silent, dangerous cost. Comfort gives you relief today and regret tomorrow. Challenge gives you discomfort today and pride tomorrow. You have a choice, and you make that choice every single day. With the food you eat, with how you spend your time, with whether you show up or stay small. Comfort steals. Challenge builds. Here's what most people don't realize. The easy path doesn't stay easy. The easy path becomes hell over time. The hard path doesn't stay hard. The hard path becomes freedom over time. Avoiding difficulty looks like relief in the moment, but it compounds into self-loathing, guilt, and a life that feels wasted. Facing difficulty feels painful in the moment, but it compounds into strength, confidence, and a life you respect. Comfort destroys self-worth. Challenge creates self-respect. That's the trade. That's the truth. Let me show you this with a real-world example. Imagine two versions of your life over the next 10 years. Version 1, the comfortable decade you sleep in when you feel like it. You skip workouts when they're inconvenient. You avoid the hard conversations. You stay in the job you hate because it's fine. You choose entertainment over effort, convenience over discipline, distraction over purpose. 10 years pass. You look in the mirror, and you barely recognize yourself. You're not proud. You're disappointed. Not because of what you did, but because of everything you avoided. The price of comfort hits all at once. Self-respect gone. Confidence gone. Potential wasted. Comfort steals. Version 2, the difficult year, just 1 year. Not 10. 1. You wake up earlier than you want to. You train when it's uncomfortable. You pursue goals without waiting for motivation. You say no to distractions. You drop excuses, remove dead weight, and show up for yourself daily, especially when you don't feel like it. 1 year. 12 months of discomfort. 12 months of self-discipline. 12 months of choosing the harder road. What happens? You become unrecognizable in the best way. Your standards rise. Your discipline sharpens. Your identity transforms. You feel alive. You feel proud. You feel powerful. And here's the kicker. Once you go through that one hard year, the next year becomes easier, because now you are the type of person who chooses growth. Challenge builds. Understand this clearly. If you avoid the hard path now, you will face an even harder path later. A path filled with regret, resentment, and unrealized potential. The pain of discipline is temporary. The pain of regret is permanent. You choose your pain. So choose the pain that builds you. Comfort steals. Challenge builds. But here is the trap. Your brain will always try to protect you from discomfort. It's wired for survival, not growth. Your brain whispers, "Take it easy. You deserve a break. You've done enough today. It's not that serious." But here's what your brain doesn't understand. You're no longer trying to survive. You're trying to evolve. Survival mode avoids discomfort. Growth mode seeks it. On purpose. You have a choice. Stop letting your old survival instincts run your future life. Discomfort is your teacher. Discomfort is your doorway. Discomfort is your advantage. Because most people run from it, and that is where you separate yourself. Let's talk about self-respect. You cannot respect yourself if you constantly take the easy way out. You cannot build confidence avoiding the reps. You cannot love the life you live if you always choose what feels good now instead of what makes you great later. Self-respect grows every time you choose the harder thing. Self-respect shrinks every time you choose the easier one. Choosing the hard path is not punishment. It is proof. Proof that you value your future. Proof that you value yourself. Comfort steals. Challenge builds. Say it again. Comfort steals. Challenge builds. Here are 3 practical ways to choose the hard path on purpose starting today. 1. Do the opposite of what your comfort-seeking mind suggests. When your brain says, skip the workout, do it harder. When your brain says, scroll a bit, shut the phone off. When your brain says, not today, do it now. 2. Add 1 intentional discomfort to your daily routine. A cold shower. A longer workout. a difficult conversation, a task you've been avoiding. Build tolerance for discomfort through exposure. 3. Stop negotiating. When the hard thing is the right thing, do it without discussion. The moment you negotiate, you lose. You don't need permission to choose the hard path. You don't need motivation to choose the hard path. You need a decision. Let's lock this in so it becomes part of you. The easy path feels good now and awful later. The hard path feels hard now and incredible later. The easy path kills your self-worth slowly. The hard path builds your self-respect quickly. Comfort steals. Challenge builds. Comfort steals. Challenge builds. Comfort steals. Challenge builds. You just learned the fourth pillar of the self-respect formula. Choose the hard path on purpose, because discomfort creates the life you want. Now that you understand the value of discomfort, we need to make sure you don't rely on feelings or motivation to keep going. The next chapter gives you the structure that makes discipline automatic. You've embraced the hard path. Good. Now let's sustain it with systems that protect your future. Chapter 5. Build systems that don't rely on motivation. If you're relying on motivation to change your life, you're already losing. Motivation is unreliable. Motivation is inconsistent. Motivation disappears the moment life gets uncomfortable. That's why most people never follow through. They only act when they feel like it, and those feelings come and go like the weather. You don't need motivation. You need systems. Because systems create consistency, especially on the days you don't feel like showing up. Systems protect your progress when your energy is low, when life gets chaotic, or when excuses try to pull you back to who you used to be. Systems over willpower. Structure creates freedom. Say it again so it sticks. Systems over willpower. Structure creates freedom. Let's get one thing straight. Motivation is a spark. Systems are the fire. Motivation may get you started, but only systems keep you going. If you want long-term transformation, you cannot build your life around temporary feelings. You must build it around reliable structure. You have a choice. Live like everyone else, controlled by motivation, or live like the few who build identity through systems that make success non-negotiable. That's the key. Think about the times in your life when you were inconsistent. The diet that lasted 6 days. The workout routine that collapsed after week 2. The new habit that disappeared the moment you got tired, stressed, or busy. Why did it fall apart? Not because you were weak. Not because you were lazy. Not because you're just not disciplined. It fell apart because there was no system holding it in place. You relied on motivation, and motivation abandoned you. Systems don't abandon you. Systems support you. Systems carry you when your feelings don't. Systems over willpower. Structure creates freedom. Let's use a simple real-world example. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't need motivation to do it. You don't debate it. You don't negotiate. Why? Because it's a system. It's ingrained. It's part of your identity. Imagine if going to the gym felt as automatic as brushing your teeth. Imagine if reading, journaling, planning, or eating clean were built into your day the same way. That's what systems do. They turn discipline into autopilot. Now, to build systems that last, you must make them simple, clear, and repeatable. Complex systems fail. Simple systems win. This is where the 3 non-negotiable system comes in. This system is designed to keep you moving forward every single day, no matter how you feel. Not 20 tasks. Not a giant morning routine that collapses under pressure. Just 3 daily non-negotiables that guarantee momentum. Here's how it works. Every day you commit to 3 actions that must get done no matter what. Small enough to be achievable. Strong enough to move your life forward. These are the foundation of your day, the minimum standard of a person who respects themselves. Systems over willpower. Structure creates freedom. Your 3 non-negotiables must meet 3 criteria. 1. They support your identity. They must align with the person you are becoming, not the person you are leaving behind. 2. They must be achievable even on your worst days. If they require perfect conditions, they will fail. 3. They must compound over time. They should be actions that build self-respect, discipline, and momentum. Examples of common non-negotiables. Move your body for at least 20 minutes. Write, journal, or reflect for 10 minutes. No phone for the first 30 minutes of the day. Read 5 pages of a growth-focused book. Follow a simple nutrition rule you don't break. Complete one task that moves your goals forward. Small, clear, repeatable. These 3 actions, done daily, create unstoppable consistency. Systems over willpower. Structure creates freedom. Now let's address the resistance you will feel. Your mind will say, 3 things? That's too small. I need to go all in. I need to overhaul my life now. No, you don't. Going all in for 3 days and quitting destroys self-respect. Doing small things daily for 30 days builds it. Success is not built in a single leap. Success is built in structured repetition. This system works because you can't talk your way out of it. 3 actions. Every day. No excuses. On bad days you can do them. On tired days you can do them. On busy days you can do them. That's the point. The system keeps you moving even when your feelings don't. Let's use a powerful analogy. Imagine 2 people climbing a mountain. Person A sprints for 30 minutes, collapses, rests for hours, sprints again, collapses again. They're inconsistent, exhausted, frustrated. Person B takes slow, steady steps, without stopping. Who reaches the top? The one who keeps moving. Your 3 non-negotiables are those steady steps. You don't need motivation to move forward, you just follow the system. Systems over willpower. Structure creates freedom. Here is how to implement your 3 non-negotiables starting today. Step 1. Choose your 3. Write them down. Make them simple and identity aligned. Step 2. Place them in your daily schedule. Morning, afternoon, or night, but assign a time. Step 3. Track them. A checklist, a calendar, or a habit app. Track your completion to build visible momentum. Step 4. Do them no matter what. Not 6 days a week. Not when convenient. Every day. The power is in the no matter what. Because when you show up without motivation, you prove to yourself who you are. Let's lock the lesson in. Motivation is a bonus, not a requirement. Systems are the infrastructure of a transformed life. Systems make discipline automatic. Systems protect your progress. Systems make success predictable. Say it again. Systems over willpower. Structure creates freedom. Build systems. Trust systems. Live by systems. You just learned the 5th pillar of the self-respect formula. Build systems that make follow-through non-negotiable, so discipline becomes your default, not your struggle. Now that you have systems, it's time to raise the standards that those systems support. Because a system without standards becomes routine, and routine without growth becomes stagnation. You're building consistency. Good. Now let's increase the expectations you hold for yourself. Chapter 6. Raise your standards and refuse the bare minimum. There is a moment in every person's life when they realize the truth. No one is coming to raise your standards for you. No one is coming to demand more of you. No one is coming to hold you to the level you know you're capable of. If you don't raise your standards, your life will stay exactly where it is. Self-respect increases every time you demand more of yourself than the world demands from you. That's the key. Because the world will always accept your bare minimum. Society is comfortable with mediocrity. Most people sleepwalk through life doing just enough. But you're not here for just enough. You're here to evolve. You're here to separate from the old version of you, the one who tolerated excuses, delays, and average effort. And there is a simple truth you must memorize. The standard you walk past is the standard you accept. Let it sink in. The standard you walk past, in yourself, in your habits, in your environment, becomes your new normal. If you tolerate your own excuses, excuses become your identity. If you tolerate inconsistency, inconsistency becomes your identity. If you accept average effort, you become average. In results, in confidence, in self-respect. But the opposite is also true. When you raise your standards, your life must rise to meet them. When you demand more from yourself, you become more. When your standards increase, your respect for yourself skyrockets. That is the power of raising your standards. Let's talk about who you used to be. The old you cut corners. The old you settled for almost. The old you wanted results without sacrifice. But the new you is being built. And one of the fastest ways to transform your identity is simple. Expect more from yourself than anyone else ever will. The world asks you to show up at work on time. You demand excellence in how you show up. The world asks you to do what's required. You demand more, not for validation but for self-respect. Every time you raise your standards, you create separation between who you were and who you are becoming. And separation is necessary for transformation. Because you cannot become the next version of you while living by the standards of your previous self. The standard you walk past is the standard you accept. Say it again. The standard you walk past is the standard you accept. Let's use a real example. There are two people who both want to get in shape. Person A says, "I'll try to go to the gym this week." Person B says, "I train 4 days a week. It's who I am." Person A shows up if they feel like it. Person B shows up because it's their standard. After 90 days, who transforms? The one with the higher standard. Person B doesn't ask whether they're motivated. They ask one question: is this action aligned with my standards? That's a person who respects themselves. High standards create self-respect because they force alignment between your actions and your identity. Here's the problem for most people. They confuse goals with standards. A goal is something you want. A standard is something you refuse to live below. Goals exist in the future. Standards shape your behavior today. Most people set goals with no standards. They want to be fit but eat like they don't care. They want to be confident but speak to themselves like an enemy. They want success but treat their time like it has no value. You can't rise above the standards you live by. Raise your standards and your results are forced to rise. Let's break this down into 3 areas where standards matter most. 1. Your standards for yourself. This is your internal code. How you speak to yourself. How you show up when no one's watching. Are you the type of person who follows through? Are you the type of person who cleans up their environment? Are you the type of person who finishes what they start? If the answer is not yet, good, that means there is room to raise the bar. You don't need permission to expect more from yourself. 2. Your standards for your environment. Your environment teaches you what is acceptable. If your space is cluttered, your mind becomes cluttered. If your circle tolerates laziness, you will too. If your surroundings are built for comfort, comfort becomes your default. Upgrade your environment so it supports your identity, not your excuses. 3. Your standards for what you allow from others. This is where self-respect becomes real. If you allow disrespect, you're teaching people how to treat you. If you allow broken promises, you're accepting unreliability. If you allow people who drain your energy, you're lowering your standards of association. Raising your standards is not arrogance. It is alignment. Now, here's what most people don't realize. The moment you raise your standards, life gets uncomfortable. Why? Because your actions must now match a higher level of expectation. And the old you won't like that. Your mind will say, "It's fine. Skip it just once. You've done enough. You deserve a break." No one will notice. But you will notice. Because the standard you walk past is the standard you accept. When you ignore the small slip, it becomes a slide. When you compromise once, it becomes a habit. When you lower the bar, your identity follows. High standards are not about perfection. They are about refusal. A refusal to fall back. A refusal to tolerate what breaks your self-respect. Here's how to raise your standards starting today. Step 1. Identify one area of your life where you are tolerating the bare minimum. Health, habits, effort, relationships, discipline. Pick one. Step 2. Decide the new standard that aligns with your future identity. Make it clear, specific, and non-negotiable. Step 3. Enforce it daily. No exceptions. No backtracking. No emotional negotiation. Because the moment you walk past the standard, you accept it. Raising your standards once is easy. Maintaining them is where transformation happens. Let's lock this in. If you want a life you admire, you must hold yourself to standards you respect. Not comfortable standards. Not convenient standards. Standards that stretch you, challenge you, and elevate you. You are not trying to meet the world's expectations. You are trying to exceed your own. Self-respect grows every time you demand more of yourself than the world demands from you. That's how you separate from who you used to be. The standard you walk past is the standard you accept. You are building a new identity, and that identity deserves standards that reflect your highest potential, not your old limitations. And once you raise your standards, you must protect your energy, because the world is full of distractions designed to pull you back to average. You've raised your standards. Now it's time to control what gets access to your mind, attention, and energy. Chapter 7. Self-respect requires self-honesty. Change begins with truth, not optimism, not excuses, not hope. Truth. Because you can't fix what you refuse to see. You can't grow what you refuse to acknowledge. You can't earn respect from yourself if you are blind to your own failures. Self-respect begins where self-delusion ends. Repeat it. Memorize it. Live it. That's the key. Most people live in a haze of excuses. They lie to themselves about what they're doing. They rationalize habits they know are harmful. They convince themselves, it's not that bad, or, I'll do better tomorrow. And that's why most people never reach their potential. Excuses are invisible chains. Delusions are invisible prisons. You can only break them if you see them clearly and admit they exist. Self-respect begins where self-delusion ends. Let's be clear, honesty is uncomfortable. It is not easy to look at your life and see the truth. It is not easy to admit where you've failed. It is not easy to confront the habits, choices, and patterns that keep you small. But here's the truth, if it were easy, everyone would do it. Self-respect is earned in the uncomfortable mirror of truth. You have a choice: continue deceiving yourself or face reality and take control. That's the key. Here's a harsh reality check. Every time you lie to yourself, you break your word. Every time you rationalize, you weaken your identity. Every time you ignore the truth, you lower your standards. You have a choice: self-delusion or self-respect. Excuses or accountability. Comfort or growth. Self-respect begins where self-delusion ends. Now let's introduce a practical tool, the brutal honesty mirror. This is your weekly exercise, a self-audit with zero excuses. Here's how it works. Step 1. Stand in front of a mirror. Look at yourself like someone else might, unfiltered, unapologetic. No distractions. No justifications. No avoidance. Step 2. Ask yourself the hard questions. Did I honor my word this week? Did I follow through on my promises? Did I choose comfort over growth at any point? Where did I lie to myself? Where did I make excuses? Answer honestly. Brutally honestly. Step 3. Write it down. Do not sugarcoat. Do not rationalize. Do not justify. Just record the truth. Step 4. Decide on immediate corrective action. Identify one thing you will fix next week. No negotiation. This is how habits break. This is how identity upgrades. Why does this work? Because without honest feedback, you are flying blind. You may think you are disciplined, but your actions say otherwise. You may think you are consistent, but your results tell the truth. Your life is the sum of what you refuse to admit. The brutal honesty mirror gives you the lens you've been avoiding. It exposes the gaps. It shows the lies. It reveals the cracks in your self-respect. Self-respect begins where self-delusion ends. Let's use an example. A man wants to be fit. He says he works out 5 times a week. He says he eats clean. Reality check: he goes to the gym twice. He skips meals or eats junk in secret. Without honesty, he tells himself, I'm doing well. I'll improve next week. With the brutal honesty mirror, he admits the truth. He sees the gap. He acts. Within weeks, results appear. Confidence rises. Discipline strengthens. Identity aligns. The difference? Brutal self-honesty. Another example. A woman wants to grow her career. She claims she's focused. She claims she's consistent. She complains she's too busy to take the extra steps. Most people would excuse this. Rationalize. Hope for motivation. The woman who succeeds asks the hard questions. Am I using my time wisely? Am I really putting in the effort? Am I responsible for my lack of results? She faces the truth, painful as it is. She creates a plan. She executes. She gains respect for herself. Self-respect begins where self-delusion ends. Here's the hard truth. Your mind wants to protect you from discomfort. It whispers lies. You're fine. It's not that bad. You're already good enough. It's lying. You are not fine. It is bad if it's holding you back. You are not already good enough, at least not by your potential. The only way forward is honesty. Brutal, unflinching, direct honesty. You have a choice. Lie, rationalize, hide, or face the truth and transform. Here's a critical point. Honesty alone is not enough. It must lead to action. Admitting the truth without correcting it is useless. Action reinforces integrity. Action creates self-respect. Action proves you are someone worthy of trust, especially your own trust. The brutal honesty mirror forces you to see, record, and act. Self-respect begins where self-delusion ends. Here's how to make this exercise work for you. Consistency, do it weekly. Not monthly. Not sporadically. Accountability, write it down, don't just think it. Correction, pick one concrete action to fix every week. Repetition, repeat. 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 Over time, your identity will align with your actions. This is not optional if you want transformation. This is non-negotiable if you want a life you respect. Let's summarize. Self-respect cannot exist without self-honesty. Delusions, rationalizations, and excuses are invisible chains. You must confront them weekly without mercy. The brutal honesty mirror is your tool. Identify gaps, record them, and take immediate corrective action. Repetition compounds. Week after week, your integrity grows. Self-respect begins where self-delusion ends. Repeat it. Believe it. Act on it. You've just learned the seventh pillar of the self-respect formula. Brutal honesty with yourself is non-negotiable. It is the foundation for lasting transformation. Now that you've confronted yourself and rebuilt integrity internally, it's time to stop seeking external validation. Your self-respect must become independent of what others think. You face the truth. Good. Next, we cut the chains of approval and reclaim your authority. Chapter 8. Stop asking for permission. Approve yourself. Self-respect cannot coexist with approval seeking. Not fully. Not consistently. Not for long. Every time you ask for permission to be yourself, to pursue a goal, to change, or to grow, you give away your power. You give away your authority. You give away your self-trust. You don't need permission to outgrow who you used to be. Say it again, you don't need permission to outgrow who you used to be. That's the key. Most people live their lives based on other people's opinions. What will they think? Will my friends approve? Will my boss like it? Will my family understand? This constant need for external validation dictates behavior, shapes identity, and erodes confidence. When you rely on others to confirm your choices, you surrender your life to their moods, judgments, and limitations. You become a passenger instead of the driver. You don't need permission to outgrow who you used to be. Let's break this down with an example. A woman wants to start her own business. She has the skills. She has the plan. She has the drive. But before taking action, she asks everyone, "What do you think? Do you think I can do it? Is this smart?" Some say yes. Some say no. Some are unsure. Guess what happens? Her confidence falters. Her momentum stalls. Her dream waits. She is now dependent on unstable fuel, approval. External approval is fleeting. It is inconsistent. It cannot be trusted to power transformation. You don't need permission to outgrow who you used to be. Here's the harsh truth. The opinions of others are shaped by their limitations, by their fears, by their insecurities. If you measure yourself against other people's expectations, you are handing over your self-respect. You are letting someone else define your identity. You are giving your confidence away. You have a choice. Continue seeking approval or stop asking and start approving yourself. Self-trust is built when you act in alignment with your values, not when others validate your choices. Let's look at another example. A man wants to go back to school. He wants a new career. He wants growth. But every friend, family member, and coworker gives advice. Is that really necessary? Are you sure it's worth it? You could fail. He spends weeks, months trying to convince them, and himself, that it's okay. He waits for permission to act. Result? He waits. He delays. He stagnates. External approval is unstable fuel. It is unreliable. It is weak. Self-approval, on the other hand, is unshakable. When you approve yourself, you no longer live in the shadow of other people's limitations. You define your path. You take control. You build confidence and identity independent of the crowd. You don't need permission to outgrow who you used to be. Here's what happens when you start approving yourself. You reclaim authority over your decisions. You stop negotiating with the world. You follow your values, not their opinions. You say yes to what aligns with your growth and no to what doesn't. Your identity strengthens. Identity is built through action, not permission. Every time you act without asking for approval, you reinforce the type of person you want to become. Your confidence compounds. Confidence is a result of proof, not praise. Every independent action is evidence that you can trust yourself. The problem is, approval seeking is sneaky. It doesn't always look like begging. Sometimes it looks like over-explaining. Sometimes it looks like getting buy-in or testing the waters. Sometimes it looks like hesitation. All of it is the same thing, your self-respect on loan to someone else. Stop borrowing respect. Start owning it. Let's put this in a real-world perspective. Consider a young professional in an office. She has an idea for a project that could transform the company. Most people would raise their hand only after waiting for approval. They would pitch it quietly to someone safer first. They would seek reassurance, then act cautiously. The person who approves themselves says, "I'm doing this because it's the right move, not because I need approval." They pitch boldly. They take risks. They learn, grow, and earn respect, not from permission but from execution. Approval seeking is the trap. Self-approval is the breakthrough. You don't need permission to outgrow who you used to be. Here's a practical framework to stop seeking permission. Step 1. Recognize every moment you seek validation. Notice the questions you ask yourself. Will they like it? Will this be okay? Do I have their approval? Step 2. Ask yourself one question instead. Does this align with the person I want to become? Step 3. Act based on your alignment, not approval. Take the step, make the choice, do the work, without waiting for a nod from anyone. Every action like this strengthens your independence. Every decision reinforces self-trust. Here's the mindset shift. You don't need permission to dream bigger. You don't need permission to demand more from yourself. You don't need permission to change. You don't need permission to break free from the old version of yourself. Every time you act without asking, you reclaim authority over your life. Every time you approve yourself, you build unshakable confidence. You don't need permission to outgrow who you used to be. Repeat it again. You don't need permission to outgrow who you used to be. Let's reinforce this with another example. A man wants to leave a toxic friendship. He worries about judgment, rejection, and criticism. He seeks external permission to break the tie. The person who approves themselves simply ends it. No explanation needed. No validation required. The choice aligns with values. The action strengthens self-respect. External approval is unreliable. Self-approval is constant. Self-respect begins and grows when you approve yourself, not when you seek approval from others. To summarize, seeking permission steals your self-trust. Relying on external validation makes your identity dependent on someone else's opinion. Self-approval is internal, consistent, and unshakable. Every time you approve yourself, you grow into the person you want to be. You don't need permission to outgrow who you used to be. Say it. Believe it. Live it. You've just learned the 8th pillar of the self-respect formula. Stop asking for permission. Approve yourself and reclaim authority over your life. Now that you've established independence, the next step is protecting your progress. Because without boundaries, your self-respect can be chipped away by outside influences. You approve yourself. Good. Next, you lock down the boundaries that protect the life you're building. Chapter 9. Protect your environment like your future depends on it. Your environment shapes you. It shapes your thoughts. It shapes your habits. It shapes your identity. The people you spend time with, the media you consume, the spaces you inhabit, all of it either builds you up or tears you down. If you want to become someone admirable, someone disciplined, someone unstoppable, your environment must serve that goal. And if it doesn't, you must remove it. If it costs your self-respect, it's too expensive. Say it again. If it costs your self-respect, it's too expensive. That's the key. Most people underestimate the power of environment. They think, I'll just rely on willpower. I'll just rely on motivation. I'll just rely on my discipline. But your environment is like water, invisible, pervasive, and controlling. Even the strongest person will erode slowly if they swim in toxic water. The people around you, the habits you tolerate, and the inputs you consume are either teaching you who you want to be or teaching you who you used to be. If it costs your self-respect, it's too expensive. Let's start with the obvious. People matter. Who you spend the most time with is who you become. Do you surround yourself with people who push you forward, who challenge you, who demand excellence? Or do you surround yourself with those who excuse laziness, normalize distraction, and tolerate mediocrity? Every conversation, every interaction, every decision reinforced or undermines your identity. If someone pulls you down, even subtly, remove them. Not because they're bad people, but because their influence costs you. Your future self cannot survive in a space that teaches complacency. If it costs your self-respect, it's too expensive. Next, let's talk about habits. The routines you follow, the small, repeated choices, are your identity in motion. Do you have habits that honor your standards? Or do you tolerate habits that erode your integrity? Scrolling endlessly, procrastinating, eating without discipline, sleeping irregularly, allowing clutter to pile up. All of these habits chip away at self-respect. Every day you tolerate them, your identity aligns with the old, weaker version of yourself. Protecting your environment includes eliminating habits that undermine your future self. If it costs your self-respect, it's too expensive. Inputs matter too. What you read, watch, and listen to shapes your thoughts. Are you feeding your mind growth-oriented content, or are you consuming distraction and negativity? Even subtle inputs, gossip, social media comparisons, sensationalized news, slowly train your brain to accept lower standards, lower patience, and lower discipline. You cannot grow in a toxic mental environment. If it costs your self-respect, it's too expensive. Now, let's introduce a practical tool, the environment audit. The environment audit is a weekly exercise to remove identity-breaking influences from your life. Here's how it works. Step 1. Identify one influence that is holding you back. A person, a habit, a piece of media, a physical space, something that slowly erodes your self-respect. Step 2. Remove or neutralize it. Cut ties. Block it. Clean it out. Change your access. Do not debate. Do not negotiate. Step 3. Replace it with something that reinforces your identity. If you removed a toxic habit, add a habit that builds discipline. If you removed a distracting friend, spend time with someone who elevates you. If you removed harmful content, replace it with growth-focused material. Step 4. Repeat weekly. One removal per week compounds into massive identity upgrades over time. If it costs your self-respect, it's too expensive. Let's use a real-world example. A young professional wants to rise in their career. They spend evenings scrolling social media and complaining about coworkers. They allow gossip and distraction to dominate their free time. They attend networking events reluctantly, always distracted by their phones. Their environment is teaching them distraction, low standards, and excuses. By performing a weekly environment audit, they remove the time-wasting social apps. They distance themselves from toxic colleagues. They commit to focused learning and high-value networking. Months later, the difference is visible. Discipline is stronger. Opportunities grow. Identity shifts from passive to powerful. If it costs your self-respect, it's too expensive. Here's another example. An aspiring athlete wants to train at the highest level. They tolerate friends who mock dedication, ignore diet rules, and encourage shortcuts. Their gym is cluttered, their schedule inconsistent, and their inputs misaligned. Without an environment audit, excuses dominate. Their results plateau. Motivation fluctuates. Identity stagnates. With an environment audit, they distance themselves from negative influences. They organize their training space. They replace distractions with consistent, aligned routines. Within months, they are no longer the person who tries sometimes. They are the person who follows through. If it costs your self-respect, it's too expensive. The brutal truth is this: your environment is silently training you every day. It is teaching you who you are, who you will become, and how much you respect yourself. Stop underestimating it. Stop rationalizing toxic influences. Stop thinking you can overcome constant negative reinforcement with willpower alone. If it costs your self-respect, it's too expensive. Here's the mindset shift you must adopt. Every person, every habit, every input, and every space in your life is an investment. If it contributes to your identity, keep it. If it detracts from your identity, remove it immediately. Self-respect is too valuable to negotiate. The environment audit ensures that what surrounds you reinforces your growth, not sabotages it. It compounds silently, week after week, into unstoppable identity transformation. To implement immediately. Weekly audit. Set a day each week to review your environment. Identify one influence. Pick one person, habit, or input that undermines your growth. Remove or neutralize. Take decisive action. Replace with growth. Introduce a person, habit, or input that strengthens your identity. Repeat, 1 week at a time. 1 step at a time. Consistency compounds. Small removals lead to massive transformation. If it costs your self-respect, it's too expensive. Say it. Repeat it. Live it. Let's lock this in. Environment shapes identity. Toxic people, habits, and inputs erode discipline. Small, consistent removals reinforce who you are becoming. Weekly audits protect your growth and self-respect. If it costs your self-respect, it's too expensive. Repeat it again. If it costs your self-respect, it's too expensive. You've just learned the 9th pillar of the self-respect formula. Protect your environment like your future depends on it, because it does. Now that you've cleared the path, raised standards, and insulated your identity, it's time for the final piece, taking full ownership of your life. The last chapter ties everything together into unstoppable self-respect and disciplined action. Chapter 10. Win the Day, the Compounding Power of Daily Proof. Transformation is not built in giant leaps. It is built in tiny, consistent actions. It is built in the daily wins you accumulate when no one is watching. Winning a single day is the smallest, most powerful unit of transformation. Win enough days and you become unstoppable. 1 day at a time. 1 win at a time. That's how you build someone you trust. Say it again. 1 day at a time. 1 win at a time. That's how you build someone you trust. Here's the truth. Most people fail because they chase grand plans. They focus on 10-year goals, massive transformations, or monumental results. And when the first obstacle appears, motivation fades. Excuses creep in. Discipline collapses. Transformation doesn't come from grand plans. It comes from daily proof. Daily proof is showing up for yourself every 24 hours, following through on your promises, and creating momentum through consistency. 1 day. 1 win. Repeated. That is how self-respect compounds. Let's break it down with a concept I call the daily proof formula. Step 1. Identify your non-negotiables for the day. These are 3 to 5 actions that reinforce your identity, your growth, and your self-respect. They can be small, but they must be meaningful. Exercise or move your body. Complete a critical task. Journal or reflect on progress. Follow a key habit that aligns with your standards. Step 2. Execute without negotiation. No if I feel like it. No later. No maybe. Step 3. Record the win. Document what you completed. Visual proof matters. Every small win is evidence that you can trust yourself. Step 4. Reset tomorrow. Each new day is a blank 24-hour canvas. You prove yourself again even if yesterday was messy. Repeat daily. 1 day at a time. 1 win at a time. Here's why this works. Self-respect is built in the moment. Confidence is earned in repetition. Identity is proven through action. Grand plans are fragile. Daily proof is unshakable. Because when you stack wins, even tiny ones, the compounding effect is massive. A week of wins builds momentum. A month of wins builds discipline. A year of wins builds unshakable self-trust. You don't get there with luck. You get there with daily proof. Let's use a real-world example. A man wants to write a book. If he waits for inspiration, motivation, or the perfect moment, nothing happens. But if he commits to writing 500 words a day, no exceptions, he stacks wins daily. Day 1, 500 words done. Day 2, 500 words done. Day 3, 500 words done. At the end of the week, he has 3,500 words. At the end of the month, 15,000 words. At the end of the year, a finished book. He didn't rely on feelings. He relied on daily proof. One day at a time. One win at a time. That's how you build someone you trust. Here's another example. A woman wants to upgrade her fitness and confidence. She doesn't chase extreme 90-day transformations. She doesn't wait for the perfect gym, the perfect meal, or the perfect mood. She decides, today I honor my non-negotiables. She trains. She eats well. She reflects. Tomorrow she does it again. Week after week, month after month, her body and mindset transform. Daily proof compounds. Momentum builds. Identity upgrades. One day at a time. One win at a time. That's how you build someone you trust. Here's a critical point. Daily proof does not mean perfection. It means execution. It means showing up even when you feel weak, tired, or unmotivated. Missing a day doesn't break the formula. Skipping tomorrow breaks the formula. Self-respect grows when you consistently honor your word, even in the smallest ways. Daily wins prove that you can trust yourself, and trust is the foundation of identity. Here's how to implement the daily proof formula immediately. Choose 3 to 5 non-negotiables. Make them realistic but meaningful. Set a 24-hour window. These actions must happen today, not later, not someday. Execute with zero negotiation. No excuses. No debates. No waiting for motivation. Track your wins visually. Cross off tasks. Check the boxes. Record progress. Proof matters. Reflect briefly each night. Recognize your wins. Adjust tomorrow if necessary. Reset and prove yourself again. One day. One win. Repeat. Now let's talk about the compounding effect. Each day is a seed. Each win is sunlight. Each reflection is water. The small actions you take daily feed an unstoppable growth cycle. Over weeks, months, and years, these wins become habits. Habits become identity. Identity becomes unshakable self-respect. Transformation is not magic. It is proof built day by day, action by action. Here's a simple truth to close the loop. Your future self is created by the daily proof you give today. It is not what you plan. It is not what you wish. It is what you do consistently. Daily proof builds momentum, identity, and trust. Without it, self-respect remains fragile. With it, you become unstoppable. One day at a time. One win at a time. That's how you build someone you trust. Repeat it. Live it. Breathe it. You've reached the final pillar of the self-respect formula. Win the day, every day, and let the compounding power of daily proof create the unstoppable version of yourself. Remember, small, consistent victories build unshakable self-trust. Big results follow naturally. Daily proof is your currency. If you applied everything in this audiobook, you now have the tools to stop breaking promises to yourself. Upgrade your identity before chasing results. Build discipline like a muscle. Choose growth over comfort. Set systems that don't rely on motivation. Raise standards and refuse the bare minimum. Practice brutal self-honesty. Approve yourself without permission. Protect your environment. Win the day every day. Your self-respect is now your strongest asset. Your identity is no longer negotiable. Your life is built on proof, not feelings. One day at a time. One win at a time. That's how you build someone you trust. If you found this audiobook valuable, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more life-changing strategies. We release weekly content designed to help you upgrade your identity, strengthen self-respect, and become unstoppable. Your next day, your next win, your next proof. It starts now. One day at a time. One win at a time. That's how you build someone you trust.